Okay, what's going on, everybody? So, today I'm going to be explaining how I'm going to tie in the UFO topic with the jail topic, and with my channel being a true crime channel and a jail channel, how I'm going to tie in that topic with like all this stuff that's been happening with the US revealing conspiracies that have been covered up for like 50 years about UFOs and submerged UFOs and the whole nine yards. Okay, we're going to get into that. So, basically, we're going to talk about right now the James Webb telescope. So, the James Webb telescope, okay, guys, is something that came out in so 2 years the James Webb Telescope, 2 years to show that we need to rewrite the cosmos. Okay, it it can see all the way to after the Big Bang. It can look back in time to when the Big Bang first happened and look at the stuff that's going on. Okay, now also, so that's one thing I wanted to talk about, how the James Webb Telescope is like, okay, I'm going to try to explain it to you how my brain works, okay? Quantum symmetry, okay? They came out with there's this new thing called CERN came out with this new thing called the LHC, okay? The LHC is got the longest underground tunnel that has this underground experiments. The way I can explain it to you, it's like a long train track, but it's for so they can get atoms to travel the speed of light. And this tunnel goes all the way from like uh, places on Earth that are still not mapped. Like there's places on Earth that people don't know about that aren't even mapped yet. Okay. Now I know I'm jumping all over the place, but it's because the James Webb Space Telescope discoveries at, of distant past, okay, SUSY particles, physics, SUSY, dark matter, string theory. These are all the things that I want to get into, okay? The world was supposedly born 13.8 billion years ago, okay? A prototype working in progress, quantum stealth, okay? A lenticular lens. James Webb has a lenticular lens space telescope. Now they've sorry, no, that's not anything to do with that. That's got to do with the invisibility cloak. Okay, for quantum stealth. Why would they want to come out with invisibility cloak? Quantum stealth. Wait, so now we have things like quantum stealth, quantum symmetry, quantum physics, quantum math, quantum AI. Like it's gone to the point where we are too far ahead, to the point where they're keeping us behind and not telling the general public and the masses. They're not telling us how this stuff all works. Now, how does it tie into jail? Okay. Well, okay, so we have the UFO scholars, right? The theology scholar, the biblical scholar, okay? Exposure to UFO lies, World War III, Antichrist, okay? Nazi scientists, cover-ups for interspace travel. It's for interplanetary travel. This is what they're trying to come up with way back. Okay? Nazi experiments. Past erased all involvement. So some people in our history, in the US and Canadian history, North America here, big people like that have found big experiments and big things that they've found, like people that have found like quantum energy and quantum different types of big things. They there was an they have brought over after the war. They brought Nazi scientists over here and totally erased their past and got them working over here on stuff that they didn't know about yet. Okay? So that's how it can compare to how aliens and stuff keep people say they were abducted by aliens, right? Okay, well, I'm going to get into that in another topic, but what we're also going to talk about is how these Nazi experiments turned into them finding out that the Japanese had more stuff going on than they did with these helium balloons. Hang on. Okay, so time compression, okay? Roswell incident, majestic documents. Nobody's going to believe this stuff until we see it. July 2nd, 1947. Why lie? Okay? Interplanetary travel. That's why they had to cover it up. We know we're going to win the war. So they know they're going to win the war. They just finished winning the war. So now this stuff happens with the Roswell incident. Everybody thinks it's UFOs and they're trying to cover up UFOs, right? They're not trying to cover up UFOs. What they're really trying to cover up is the fact that the Japan scientists actually found something that can be a balloon and it can travel way up in the air, like a sort of like a hot air balloon, but these can travel long distances and they're very dangerous because they can drop anthrax. These can be balloons that could travel all the way to the US very high speed, and these were chemical warfare. They were learning how to drop anthrax or drop uh, you know pandemic diseases, all kinds of chemical warfare stuff like that, right? So what happens is they find out how to do it. They bring over these Japanese scientists, got them to work for us. They learn how to do this stuff. So they start making these balloons, and then what they do is they go and they find these guys that are on world in jail, and they're never getting out. They're on death row, okay? So the world does not know about this, probably not many people know about this, but they wanted to take these inmates and use them for Nazi experiments to figure this stuff out because they wanted to know so bad. And okay, we're going to get into all this kind of stuff on discussions, how it relates to inmates, how it relates to slavery, how we're still being slave to this day, being locked up. Okay, now some people need to be locked up, don't get me wrong, murderers, rapists, okay, depending what you murder someone for. If you murder someone for no reason, I believe you should be locked up. Okay, there's reasons why people should be locked up, but we have gone way too far. This world has gone so far where it feels like we're living in a microchip. We don't know if this is living in a simulation or what. We've gone too far into technology to the point where soon they're going to be wanting to make it a microchip in our skin, or they're going to make it a microchip where nobody can buy food or nobody can buy anything without having this microchip in you, and that could be the mark of the beast. That would be another topic for another time. The Antichrist, the mark of the beast, all that. And was Jesus a human being? Now, we don't want to get too much into the religion stuff, but unseen realms like demons, UFOs. So if we talk about aliens, that releases stuff like demons, UFO studies, computer studies, angels, sinister aliens, sinister messages, MIT schools. We go all the way back to fraternities and Yale, colleges, fraternities, universities, go back all the way early to the earliest secret societies. Okay? Now, these abductions for these Nazi experiments were done on inmates. They would take inmates and they would tell them they're going to experiment on them, and they would not live. They would tell them if they live through the experiment, then they can be released. They would never ever live because they would get them and they would do it where they're going to go in these balloons and see how high they could raise them up without hurting a human being, or see how high it would go before we would die, to see how high they could go with these chemical warfare balloons. Now, when that thing crashed at Roswell and they tried to say, oh, it was a balloon, da 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 da, and then covered it up and said, oh, UFOs, this and that was to cover up the fact that they were really actually doing tests for a very serious interspace travel, okay, and chemical warfare and stuff like this. I know this sounds like a total nut bar person, but I'm going to connect all these dots for you guys when we get into a live and get into a discussion, okay? Now, there's something called the universe breakers, okay? Superposition, okay? I was taught only 9 planets in school by teachers who actually knew nothing about the universe or Earth or the past, okay? Everything we learned in school is not what we learned. Everything in school, we learned 9 planets. Now we're finding the James Webb telescope to be finding people with lights on 7 billion miles away, 7 billion light years away, and all this stuff. So much stuff, science mumbo jumbo, you can't even keep track on. So I got to do spider web, like literally. It's like brainstorming, when you do a brainstorm. Okay, so now we've been lied to a lot growing up in our background. Nazi past erased, evolved. We got demonic, compared to Stockholm syndrome, abduction, research. Okay, how does it relate to Christ? How does it relate to the messages from all this stuff about aliens? Like, they're coming out in 2024 telling us that there's literally aliens nowadays, okay? So, the oldest black fraternity in history, okay? P. Diddy is a part of that. It's called the Bula. And they're run by the Signi Pi 5, are at the very top, okay? Signi Pi 5 are at the very top of Illuminati, okay? Now, the black fraternity is the oldest black fraternity in history, called the Bula or the Budala, something like that. This is the black chapter of the Illuminati, okay? Hey, you guys want to get into these types of topics and all kinds of more topics about jail, I will tell you the truth. Nobody wants to hear about money, about the U.S. being bankrupt. Canada probably bankrupt too. The Biden wanted to get rid of the middle class, so now there's no more middle class. It's all poor or rich. Okay, we got Biden. He can't print oil. Biden made stuff go from $30 a barrel to $130 a barrel. I've read the biblical aspect 6 times. I've read the Bible. I've read the Quran. Okay, I've read the whole entire Bible like 6 times. I've researched all kinds of different books in the Bible, Revelations. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus. Okay, Numbers. There's all kinds of stuff. Okay, that I need other opinions on, and it's making my brain go crazy. I'm starting to think maybe I am in a movie, or maybe I'm in like some sort of simulation. Like, we don't know. It's insane. They're trying to throw all this stuff on us, right? Meanwhile, I'm poor. We're poor. We got nothing. We got to get to the top. How can we get to the top? Well, we use our talent, we use our brain. Nowadays, the robots are going to do all the fucking bitch work, going to do all the hard work. They're going to do all the repetitive work. We have time to explore our talents, explore science, explore music, explore culture, explore love, explore enjoying the planet, okay? I know this sounds like a lot for a prison channel or a true crime channel, but there's going to be lots of interviews coming up in the near future. Okay, we got lots of stuff on the mind, and right now we're setting it straight. We're going to be going full throttle. Okay, so we're going to be having all kinds of talks about this time compression theory, the underground sex tunnels with P. Diddy that go all the way to the Hugh Hefner mansion. Okay, let's do this. Do I got anything else that I missed? Here's 7 goals to help keep on track. Don't look what others love. Don't compare to yourself. Don't look what others think about you or your work talents. Don't care what others think of your opinion of you. Be yourself, not a copy of who you think is cool. The first you is better than 100 copies of you, okay? Create goals for yourself. Stick to your goals. Even when you want to give up, listen, I've been so depressed lately. I've wanted to give up, okay? But I gotta push through and keep this content coming. That's how you do it. You gotta keep pushing. You gotta keep that hygiene up. You gotta keep that, keep it going. Listen to your inner voice about acting. Act on your talents, okay? Stay on track on your own goals. 7 tips, there's 7 tips to live by to be the best self you always wanted to be. Okay, guys? All right. Bang them out. What you worth? Do you bring death or do you bring birth? Turn the page, blessing or a curse. Forks and roads, intergalactic fanatic, supreme clientele, asthmatic. Devil had a baby with a crack addict. What's the kid? Lucifer, curse worse, blurt, no remorse, red Porsche, hooker, she's a real looker, poker, soaker, bitch spraying her, like a super soaker. She wants to the devil to choke her. Ooh, wah! Bloker.